Okay, so I'm gonna go over point blank the hoaxes. Most common things seen from the toxoplasma. Okay, I'm gonna give you a gist. People who fell into it were more like cancer people. So just reading a title is something like the deepest pool in the world is a child's dream or childhood dream. Yeah, basically cancer people who are falling for this stuff should just read that title. Yeah, right. It can't be their greatest dream. People basically use them by the toxoplasma that's coming out because the other one is actually much younger, and even the goners already are doing it, but making cancer people weak and feel like babies and take, either still or whatever. Talk about picking on, your weaker ones to your weaker ones. You know what I mean? It's weird. But younger people are doing it twice as much. And this is where you get like the idea of like hive. It's neither one or the other. And I'll get into it stronger here because it's still 13 backwards. And then they'll they'll knock on St. Jude's door and be like, give a kid a cancer, and that's twice now 13 backwards. Because the first 13 was way too forward, so it ended up being 31 again. Anyway, so the things you'll see are like, it's all lies and hoaxes. It's like insane amount of bees march into my hive box. Yeah, insane amount of bees hoax is what it is and what they want. I just wrote down some of these creepy crawly creatures that are really cute. Creepy crawly creatures that are not really cute. Hoax. Let's see, what else did I see? Always, and it's coming from it. You can tell. Iowa Senator Celsi threatens to take guns away. These are usually longer videos, and they're usually insane patriotic hoaxes to land on World War Z type thing. She was dropped off. Oh, I gotta read the title of it. Granny causes transit chaos on busy highway. Okay, Granny wants you to crash. I'm sorry. She knows. And if you watch the video, it's on a ramp. So she was dropped off on the wrong side of the road on a ramp, and basically she wants you to crash. Or you could say that she was dropped off on the wrong side of the road, and only babies get dropped off on the wrong side of the road. Because you got 231s going creepily up next to each other. Creepy broken tornado siren in Chicago. I really have nothing to say about that one. Pretty good. Okay, Mason versus Hannibal. Mason's base. I don't know if you guys ever seen. Well, this is actually supposedly a true story. The zombie thing that happened, and it was because the idea is it's what I said. The 13s backwards causes poor. It even makes Catholics poor. Why does it make Catholics poor when they swore upon the gold that they had it? Alright, well, I'll trip you out, but really it makes if it causes constant, what do you call it? Father, Son, Holy Spirit outside the body, type thing, then you're actually causing the circle ring around the heart, and you're basically killing off whatever, even to the point that they might even attack someone who's going to forgive them and give them inheritance before the time is there. Because like I said, they're much younger. So some of the music started coming out to try to make up for it. Like, I do like the Psycho song, but you have to pretty much go back through the toxoplasm and write what's insane about it, It's unbelievable. So, and then I'll give you another example. The solar, because one is pretty much Baal worship, and Baal worship takes slow, progressive time over abuse of women. It could be from any country. Ball worship can happen anywhere. It could happen in Africa. It can happen, well, any countries in Africa. It could happen in the Latin countries. It can happen anywhere. That one's like more became like you got, okay, I'll give you an example. For Catholics, you got two Pope John Paul II's. Two. And that's for the world. Two. You got two Pauls on those 13 backwards. Now you have one that's only statement was ever made really, really publicly before they like very few times did he talk, is it better to love or to be loved? And they can't tell one or the other. It's like the granny thing. Because I would then have to, like, if they twin it, it's like Gary from SpongeBob, and you're saying Granny gets dropped off on the wrong side of the road, babies get dropped off on the right side of the road because he has to throw in before the kids end up getting hurt by it. The same thing that happened with the 67 and the Doomsday thing. And the last one, even though they said they were only doing it, to adults, and the supervisors did not stop them, even outside in a different state, it ended up being a child that was the next victim. And that's how kind of St. Jude works off of, the fueling of it. The other one that's really bad is, like, I always think about this, but like their toxoplasma, like phones or whatever they get, like they can always tell, and they're very rare. But like Guatemalans, the whole thing about the Noriega thing, and remember I said about the video about like when they were trying to go get that drug dealer out of there, his girlfriend started imitating a dead fish or something like that, and the other one was talking about how like his mama left because there was no spoons. And so, like, you got one side that becomes the high ball worship side, and it gets people scared, and then Daniel becomes the liar. And so then they would use the first part of Genesis that was actually an animal that clearly gets blurred with the sister thing, or that's my sister, that's not my sister, it's my wife, and then it jumps over to mother, that's my mother, well, that's my wife. It's clearly not. The ant one is a little more difficult because you can't do it as much. Like, even though they would say, for example, I'm not the kid that's being moved around. You know what I mean? I'm not that Uma Thurma highball type situation. I am clearly in my mother's house, and it's going to the aunts to say like that they were that kid thing. So to avoid bad transitions, the Chicago Siren is a pretty much good knocker, and the psycho songs are really coming out for real, but you have to include what is insane about it. It's like these tribunals that they're holding, which is tribunals are held for dead people, pretty much, or mass deaths, actually. That's really what it is. They can't incriminate either or, so there's not really it's neither or incriminating. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of these things are not either or incriminating, but I'm also not one of these people that want to incriminate. But the older people will. So you'll see like Lynn's thugs, and by the way, Lynn's thugs or whatever those things are, the Linden people and the Camden people. It was Camden's first fault, and then it went over to Lynn Den's type people, the Den people, the Mars Den, the astronaut Den, and stuff like that. That's pretty much the den people that start these little dens or trap houses. I'll give you another example how it affects the music. There's a guy on the radio who he's really, really rappy and all that stuff. I ain't listened to, I'll give you another hoax. Megan is listening to Joey Trap. No, Megan is not listening to Joey Trap. Okay, because you can clearly hear, and even when they listen to it across the street, they can clearly hear that it's like as if they're having a relationship with someone that they're really not. like they know so much about it, it's so deep, but it really sounds like they basically were only with them for a little bit of period of time and then gave up and tripped out, like as if they didn't give up. They did. Okay, so that's what that really sounds like. And there's a lot of them on the radio that actually sound the same way. And you can't find the video of it, but they did a comedy sitcom about some guy going to Dubai and getting lit on it. And that's 2011-ish, I think. Um, the other thing is with the whole India one, oh, you know, they came out with these like little groups that were talking about reticuli aliens. I don't even remember. It was like they had names for each kind and what each kind looked like and all that kind of stuff. Well, if that's the case, it ended up being a high ball on some poor girl in India or towards India so that they could actually speak again. Because if you use baby Babylon too much, they can't talk. And there's it's weird. It'd be like me saying there's a bunch of aliens in outer space and their name is this and this and that, but I really mean they're a bunch of Indian tribes, people on the ground. You know what I mean? Like eventually it actually hit that side, and the longest solar eclipse was actually in India, and I don't know if you're ever going to get any longer than that one, but there is going to be one for China, 2 solar eclipses on their calendar days. True, true, true. And if you were worried about the Russian investigation, well, I'll tell you this. The only thing that I can say about Russia is that when they were doing the subways and the traps and stuff like that or whatever, only whoever stopped Russia from putting in the extras, their subway got hit because their own, if you consider each nation having bad people, they would get mad at their subway systems.